Hi guys and welcome to today's webinar. It's Mike that's going to be going through today's session, and we do have Ollie on the live chat. So today's session is going to be this year's Christmas special, and what we'll be covering are some tips and tricks directly from the customer service team. So it's little things in Prima that we think is good and useful that you may need to use in your day to day, or it may be something that you're not aware that exists or works in that specific way. All this is to help you sort of save time using Prima and make your life a little bit easier. So just start off, we've got tips and tricks from all the team. So just to show you what we'll be going through today. Kelly's tip is about creating an order pad schedule, which allows you to automatically create repeat orders for your customers. So if you've got one customer wanting the same sort of paper or pen order, toners, whatever it is, to be sent to them at the same time every week, every month. And currently you have to remember that. We'll be covering sort of how to create an order pad and how to actually schedule that order pad to be sent on a period. My tip is using the history option within price check or a sales order or quote, and then you can easily view a list of items on your customer's contract within there. So if any of your customers call, this may be for customer service reps or even account managers, within your business, being able to find the contract list and what prices and etc. on there quickly is a necessity. Molly's tip is how you can search for the requirements with a sales order number. So whether you need to allocate or you need to delete something, there's a source number field in the requirements, and you can basically pop the order number into there and search. Becky's tip is about using the marketing tab in the company record. It allows you to leave useful information for that customer that's easily viewable in the sales orders. We'll come on to some examples on that. From the rest of the team, Mix is something that's in the next version, something that he's been testing, is you are able to select whether pricing band is margin markup or standard pricing within the company by company basis. I think some of the wording on there is wrong, but it's definitely you select whether it's margin markup or standard pricing with by company. It's something that'll be useful in the next version. Another one from the next version, we've got marketers, and in the new version, you'll be able to restrict categories from view online by company and by contact. So if you've got companies that want access, specifically just paper, or they just buy toners from you, and that's all they want to see online, you're going to be able to restrict the companies from other categories that they may want to remove from view. Ollie's tip is how to quickly add lines on quotes and orders through the history, line entry and additional items. With the additional items, you have the opportunity to upsell for other items that are associated to that product. And then finally, Steve's is basically setting up the catalogue price change report on an automated basis. So we'll explain what that report does and the information that is contained within there. So starting off with the first one, which is Kelly's. Her tip is about how you can set up order pads to repeat. So to create an order pad, you can go to new record. At the top, you've got the option for order pad here. Once you've created your order pad, it will basically exist within SOP and order pads. So I think we've got a fair few that are already set up on this database. And to create a schedule, you find the order pad that you want. So if we just go into sort of any of these, and once it loads up, connection seems to be a little bit poor at the minute. So we've got the order pad here, and then within the actual order pad itself, you have the option to schedule order. It's just this button at the top, and it works in the same way that any of the automated exports, whether it be reports or if you use Evolution, if you've had a look at the export for that, it works in the exact same way. There's already one set up for this order pad, but you would just hit this new button in the bottom left hand corner. It would give you an option to create sort of a new export, so monthly. If I can type monthly order. If you click save, you're then able to add a schedule on the right hand side. So what you can do within here, you can set it to run say on a weekly basis at a specific time, and what will happen when this runs, it will basically create that order, create as an outstanding sales order, which you can then just basically authorize. So without you having to think about creating it, it will just create it automatically based off the information, quantities, etc. that is in this order pad. You can select sort of how on what days that you want it to run, and basically how many weeks. So if you always want it, every week on a Tuesday because they want it on a Wednesday delivery, you can basically select all of the days, and that's when it'll create. Now, other bits that you can do, if you select monthly, you can basically choose what month that you want it to run on. If they do it, say, the first of the month, then you can select which specific days within that month. So if they always want the paper order on the second of the month, or they want it on the you want it the first week, on the first day, whatever day, you can do. It's all dependent on what your customers want and your customers' requirements, and you can basically manipulate it to do exactly that. So that's the first tip from Kelly. That's scheduling orders and creating automatic orders using the schedule order pad option. So my tip is being able to see the contract from the history option. So you can access the history in two ways. You can access it through sales orders and quotes, or the quickest way, especially if you're on the phone, customer call saying, in fact, what have I got on my contract list? Is this on my contract, etc. You can use this the price check at the top, and then specifically within here, if we just search for a company, we'll just return this company. If we go into the price history, you've got a number of different options here, but the very one at the very end is all contract, and that will list basically all items that exist on the contract, so you can see what is on there, what the price is, and if they've bought it previously. So you can easily see at a quick glance where that has been purchased before. So it doesn't necessarily tell you the price that it's paid, that they're paying for that item, but you can at least see it, and then you can go and do a price check if you want to know the price. It allows you to basically see that list nice and quickly. And if they want to buy something that's on contract, if they want to purchase some punch pockets, or they want to purchase some pens, you can easily just highlight the lines and create a new order or a quote if they want to be quoted on that price for a large quantity or something else. So that's my tip. Easily accessing that contract without having to go into the company within the contract and look within there. It's easily accessible from the price check at the very top, so it makes life a lot easier. The next tip is from Molly, and basically her tip is how to find orders within the requirements. So you may need to allocate an order, you may need to part allocate some stock, you may need to delete something, you may want to purchase something, but basically within the requirements, if I just go and find the requested order, what you can do is, if we go into here, once it loads, there's some lines on here. There's one line here that could be in the requirements because it's requested. You can take this order number. You can go into POP and requirements, and then the source number at the top. I believe it's been moved to the top in the latest version. In your version, you may have to extend it, and it's an option sort of similar, down here. But basically, if you just put in your order number at the top, whether it's if it's order, whatever it might be, if you put that in, it will show up in here, and it'll be just a nice easy way, rather than you searching through a big list. It could be a lot of stuff in requirements. You want to look for a specific order because you need to purchase it because you've just spoke to a rep on the phone and got a special price. Rather than seeing a big list like this, you can easily just put in the order number at the top as long as you've got it, to specifically see that list, just to purchase or allocate that specific item, or do whatever you need to do with it. So that's Molly's tip. Basically should make life a lot easier if you're purchasing, if you want to purchase a specific order at a special price. A couple of good examples there. So Becky's tip is how to use the marketing tab to basically give your reps or whoever's putting the orders on some information about a company. So you may have been out to see a customer, they buy pens or whatever from you, but they don't particularly like a certain brand. They don't like a certain brand of toner, or they don't like a certain brand of paper, whatever it might be. That's just an example using sort of stuff that the customer may or may not like. And if we go into the company lookup, and if we go into a company, under the marketing tab, once it loads up, under the marketing tab, under this sort of notes section, so you see here that something's been put in previously. Whatever you enter into here, if we create a order or a quote, so let's create one very quickly. You'll be able to access it from here. So you see in this very centre bit you've got company notes, and basically you can put whatever you want here. For example, this customer prefers BIC over QConnect for pens, so if you're going to be quoting them or putting anything on there, make sure that it's a BIC code rather than a QConnect. They prefer the quality or whatever it might be, the price, whatever that company prefers. You can use this company notes box to access information about that company very quickly. So you can use it for branding. You're saying, well, if the customer orders this code, it's one of the favourite codes, we swap it to this. Just makes that information easily accessible and easily viewable from within the sort of main screen. You don't have to sort of click into anywhere. You can access any further information from the header detail, about the delivery notes, etc. But for the main notes, it's in here, it's from the marketing tab, and it's easily viewable. So that's Becky's tip. So from here, another option. Basically, this is mixed tips. We can access it from here, and this is the new a new feature that's coming into your version, which should be released very shortly. And that's basically pricing bands being set as margin markup or sort of discounts, basically within the company. So you can have, say, you've got two companies in the background here. You got Myco 1 and Myco 2. You could, Myco 1, they could be a company that you want them to be specifically margin based, but then for Myco 2, you want them to be discount based when it comes to the pricing. Now at the minute, there's no way for you to manage that unless you set it up through a mail or whatever. But now, in the latest version, if we go into the company, or if we go into the product and pricing, if I just remove this customer offer, when you go to add a band, now you have the option of the band that you select and then what type it is. So you can select in the company, in the product and pricing, whether it's discount or margin, and then obviously the margin or discount that you're giving. So you can basically set this up within customer offers as well. So you could have a customer offer that's purely margin based for everything. You could have a customer offer that's purely discount based, have mixed ones. It all depends on how your pricing works, but you can be a lot more flexible with your pricing for your company, for your customers with this setup now. So you're not restricted to having that band being either discount or margin. You can select both options against the actual company, so you can be quite flexible with your customers now with the pricing. So that's something that we're really looking forward to. So that's mixed tips. So just moving on, a couple more tips to go. Next one is Marcus's tip, which is also a new feature that's coming in. And while we're on this page, it makes life a lot easier, because what we can do now is we can select these options here to restrict categories. So with this, you may have a customer that only orders paper, they only order, say workwear is a good example, and you don't want them to be seeing a load of other products that they necessarily won't be buying. I know it's good for upselling and different things, seeing what they offer, but if you only want them to see stuff that's within that category, then you can do so from in here. So you would select the option to restrict, and then you can click this option to restrict category, and basically it would look at the attribute groups that you've got within the system, and you can basically go down and say, right, I want them to be restricted to clipboards. And then if we restrict that, so these are what the basically you remove what you don't want them to view. So the anything that's on the right hand side is basically stuff that they can't view. Sorry, that's me a little bit confused. So what's available is in here. The stuff that you're restricted from seeing is in here. So you don't want them to see paints, you can restrict that. If you don't want to see visited books, you can restrict that. And basically that will make life a lot easier. You'll have some customers that have a specific bespoke setup that they want. They only want to see certain things. You can do it, and that's basically on a company level. So if I just cancel that, if we go into the main tab and into the contact, you can also do it in the contact level. So you may have, say, a furniture buyer that you only want to see the furniture items. You may have a stationery buyer, an container buyer, a workwear buyer, and you can basically restrict those individuals to see the categories that they just want to see rather than seeing everything else that isn't really relevant, you can basically just restrict them to see what they want in the contact. Which, so we'll have some more information on that. We'll show you some proper examples once the release is out. So that webinar should be coming up soon. But basically this is just a quick sort of tip to say, look, this is what you can do, and it'll make life a lot easier in the coming release. Last couple of tips. So one from Ollie is about how you can quickly add multiple lines, whether that be from your order, from the history, whatever that you want. So it'll make life a lot easier. So if we just go into a sale order, from the history, same as the price check at the top, you can basically add lines from there into basically an order. You can create an order directly. But if we click into the history tab within an order already, we've got all the history for this customer. You can see what they've got, and if that if you want to add some items from there, you can do. So you can select, right, I want to add these top 3 items. If you wanted to add them sort of into the order, you have to go in, type the code once, add. Within here, you can select the lines you want and click add items to current sale order. And basically it'll add all 3 lines. So you're not restricted to go, right, I'll add that one, I'll add that one, I'll add that one. You can add all 3 lines at once. So the next little tip from Ollie is basically you can add it from the history, but if you want to add sort of, say, toner, a specific sort of code for a printer, and you want to add all different colours, you want to add the black, you want to add the cyan, whatever it might be, you want to add all 4 of them. Basically you can search for the code, part code, whatever it might be. Personally don't know any of those codes off the top of my head, but say if we want to search for red pen, and we want to add a couple of different red pens, the customer wants to see the prices between the 3 and what you can offer. Once this comes back to search, because it hasn't found the specific code, it will pop up with basically the extra search, and you can search and fiddle through the codes to find the ones that you want. So if we wanted to add a couple, you can basically again highlight and select, and then add the selected items to the order. So if you select however many codes, you can basically add those selected by just highlighting. Using the control or just drag and drop, you can select those codes and add them to that order. Again, not doing one by one, you're not going to be limited to one by one. I believe that is a new feature within this release. I don't think that's currently available yet, but it will be available shortly. And then the final thing from Ollie's tip is basically adding additional items to the order from you can multi-add from the additional items. So if you're not sure what the additional items is, if I just search for a code, at the top you've got alternative items, and then next to it you've got this additional items button here. So if we click this additional items button, this gives you an opportunity to 1, upsell, and 2, add sort of multiple lines to an order. So what this additional items, it'll show sort of you and your reps basically items that are similar and will be used in conjunction with the item that you've put on. So for a punch pocket, you need a ring binder to put that in, you need some folders to put that in, whatever it might be, and it gives you the opportunity to find codes that are linked to the item. So you can basically select a couple of lines again, select the ones that you want. The customer wants some ring binders, they want some storage bags, they want some folders, so you can basically just select the lines that are relevant and then move to this bottom section, and it'll add all 4 of those items. If you click add items to the order, so it'll make life a lot easier if you're upselling. Rather than remembering code, going back, selecting, searching, you can basically just go into additional items, find, upsell to your customer, whether you're on the phone, whatever it might be that you're doing, and then add those quickly in bulk, which allow you to build, say, quite a big order that we have here with 11 items relatively quickly, rather than going code, search, add, code, search, add. It'll speed things up for you if you're using this, especially if the items exist in the history, or you're searching for 4 of one item, whatever it might be. It just makes life a lot easier being able to select those codes and add them in bulk. So for the final tip, we do have Steve's tip, which is about the price change report. So some of you may have seen this report previously, but if we go into reporting and then reports, within standard and spreadsheet, we do have the price changes on catalogue, mailer and products report. and this does what it says in the name. It basically shows you where prices have gone up and down within a specific time frame. So some customers have this set up to run on a weekly basis with the automated reporting routine. So if we click into here, you could easily set this up so it just shows information about the price changes in the last week. And then you could set that to run on basically say the first of the month, so you get the last updates from the previous month, and it'll basically send you a report that contains a lot of information. So if you go into the criteria, you can look at basically all catalogues, or you can split it down to specific catalogues. So if you want to look at say what price changes have happened within the VAB catalogue, you can easily do so, and then it's just basically choosing the range that you want the changes to be. So if you wanted to look at last week's on your database, they're probably more up to date than this test one, but you can easily look at the catalogue when the changes were made. If we go back to the spreadsheet, probably won't show anything because it's a test database, but on your live database, if you do this, because you get the updates from the suppliers, this will actually have information in it. But then you will be able to set this on an automated schedule through the admin, an automated report to send to you guys on a weekly basis, and that way you don't have to go searching for the price changes. You'll have it in this report. It'll be sent to you automatically to your email if you get that set up. So we do have a webinar that covers that if you want to have a look through how the automated reporting works. But apart from that, that is the tips from the customer service as part of this Christmas special. So just as a bit of a recap, if we go back through the tips, Kelly's was going through creating an order pad schedule that allows you to basically create repeat orders automatically without you having to remember. My tip was about using the history option within the price check to easily view a list of contract items and basically see what is actually on the contract. Molly's tip was being able to search the requirements using the sales order number as the source number, allowing you to purchase specific orders, allocate or basically delete if you need to. Becky's was about using the marketing tab in the company record, basically allowing information about that company to be easily viewable within the sales order. A good use of that is they don't like a specific brand, so try not to sell them that brand. The last couple of tips. Mix was something for the new version, which is having the ability to select whether a pricing band is margin markup or discount company by company. So that is coming in the next release. Another one for the next release, which is Marcus's tip. You're able to restrict categories from view online by company and contact. So you can set specific companies to see specific categories, and then basically within the specific companies limit certain contacts to viewing certain categories as well, if their field of interest is specifically say furniture or it's stationery or it's paper, whatever it might be. Ollie's quick tip is adding lines to quotes effectively, whether using the multi-add from a history, from line entry with additional items, and then basically if you're part searching a code, you can basically multi-add items. So good use of that is say toners, you want to add all 4 toners, you don't have to search for the code, put one code in, add it, put another code in, add it. You can basically select all 4 at once and add them to the order, nice and easy. And then finally, Steve's is using the catalogue price change report to basically see what prices have changed from your suppliers within that specific time frame, and then you can basically have that sent to you on a weekly basis without having to remember to run that report, as long as you set that up within the admin and the automated reports. And that is basically the team's quick tips. Hopefully they will help you speed up doing certain jobs within Prima and make your lives a little bit easier. If you do want any sort of further training on these tips, any questions, myself and I'll be hanging around for a little bit now, so don't hesitate to ask any questions. And apart from that, have a good Christmas and we'll see you next week.